So we're going to talk about frustrating meal times with your dog that has valley fever. Picky appetites are totally common in dogs with valley fever. But do you know why? Why your dog has a picky appetite? And do you know what you can do? There's tons of stuff you can do. But first of all, picky appetites in dogs with valley fever are caused by one, valley fever. Valley fever makes them feel ill because they are ill and their immune system is crap. But they also might have a fever, and that will cause a lack of appetite. And they may be painful, which will cause a lack of appetite. And then a lot of the medication that's used will cause a lack of appetite or nausea. So things like fluconazole, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories like Rimadyl. So when your dog has a picky appetite and you go back for a recheck with your vet, there are really common conventional medications that your vet may prescribe for your dog. And probably the most common one is mirtazapine, which is actually a human drug that was developed for depression. It's an antidepressant. But you have to kind of be careful because you shouldn't be combining it with something like tramadol or dextromethorphan, which is in the cough tabs. So you want to let your vet know or remind them of all the medications your dog is already on, so that you don't have any adverse reactions. But you may have adverse reactions anyway, regardless. The mirtazapine tends to cause some sedation. Sometimes it causes hyperactivity, and they whine more. Another drug that's used for dogs with picky appetites when they have valley fever is Cerenia or Mirapitant. And it comes in an injection. So sometimes your vet will give an injection, but it also comes in tablets. But you're only supposed to use it like once a day for 4 days. So it's kind of an on again, off again, as needed kind of a medication. And that one you also have to be careful with, because you can't mix it with some of the antifungals like ketoconazole. And you have to be careful when they're on the NSAIDs like Rimadyl, or even the anti-seizure meds. So if your dog has valley fever induced seizures and they're on phenobarbital or Keppra, you have to be careful, and you may not want to be using Cerenia. So again, let your vet know all the things your dog is on and just remind them so we can make sure there are no side effects. And then another common one is prednisone. That's used to stimulate the appetite because it does that. It helps them drink more and eat more, and it's an anti-inflammatory. So it's an older medication, but it's not without its side effects. So you still have to be a little careful. It's going to suppress the immune system, which is something we really don't want to do. But initially, it can be helpful for appetite and inflammation, and it can give the adrenal glands a little boost. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but you do have to follow your veterinarian's instructions and taper it off. Another pharmaceutical for appetite stimulation that's used conventionally is Entice. And Entice is a real interesting drug. It's a ghrelin agonist, or it stimulates the hormone ghrelin. And the word ghrelin always reminds me of stomach growling. But that's basically what it does. It stimulates the sensation of hunger, or your stomach growling. But this one, you have to be careful with liver problems, kidney problems, and gallbladder problems. And a lot of our dogs with valley fever do have some liver problems. So careful with that one. And then there's cyproheptadine. This is a really old antihistamine, and mostly it's used in cats, but sometimes a vet will try it in a dog to stimulate their appetite. But you have to consider that there are no studies on animals for its use as an appetite stimulant. And it's usually used in cats, not dogs. And there's no dosing established in dogs. So we're just kind of guessing on that. So those are your conventional appetite stimulants that your vet may prescribe if you go in and say, my dog's not eating, which is common. So the other things you can do, there are really easy things and safe things that you can do at home, which is handy. So you can go to your kitchen and maybe find some ground ginger. Ginger calms the tummy and it's an appetite stimulant. You may have some fennel seed or cinnamon in your spice cabinet. And then you may have some tea bags like chamomile tea that will calm the tummy and encourage appetite. And then some of your mint teas. And so you would make a tea with these spices and let it cool down. And then you can add it to your dog's food, about, a quarter cup for every 25 pounds over the day. So there are teas you can use and spices that you can use to help with their appetite. And then you can use something like garlic. That's a taste enhancer. You have to be careful. You can only use a small amount, but you can use it. You don't want to use the junk in the jar. You want to use fresh garlic and you want to crush it right before you're going to put it in the food, like 15 minutes before you're going to put it in the food. You want to crush it or mince it or chop it. And that releases the allicin, which is the active ingredient in garlic that is antifungal, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and it stimulates the appetite. And it's a taste enhancer. It tastes good. Dogs think it tastes good, but you have to be careful with it. You're only going to use a tiny bit. And then there are herbal formulas that you can use for appetite stimulation. And Herbalist and Alchemist has a kid's tummy relief that has catnip and some other herbs in it that are helpful for upset tummies. And catnip can be used in people and dogs as well as cats. And then Con Essentials has a nice one called 6 Gentle Pets. That's tonifying for the tummy, gives them some energy and calms the tummy down. And there are other herbal formulas that you can use depending on your pet's or your dog's situation. And then there are also homeopathic products. So Ipecac, antimonium, colchicum, and those are used for appetite stimulation for different types of lack of appetite. So you have to kind of match those to your dog's personality and symptoms surrounding the lack of appetite, whether it's food aversion or just overwhelming lethargy or acute illness. So it just depends on exactly what's going on with your dog with valley fever to pick one of those 3 homeopathic products. And homeopathic remedies are really interesting. They're energetic. So they are made from herbs and other things, but they're diluted so much that there isn't any herb or anything in the actual medicine. It's the energetic footprint of what it's made from, and that's how it works. So it's a whole different paradigm, but it's effective and it's extremely safe. So another thing that is holistic, but there is also a conventional version, is CBD. So we use CBD as an appetite stimulant. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There are synthetic cannabinoids like the Marinol, which is CBD with THC, that is a human product, but it's used off-label with pets, especially for cancer. So it's a pretty strong thing. But if their appetite is just horrendous, that's something that a conventional vet may use. But you can certainly get reputable CBD products and give that a go, because CBD is good for the immune system, it's good for pain, and it may improve your dog's appetite. I would stick with your reputable companies. So a company like Robert Silver's Well Pet Dispensary, or CBD for Dogs. So those are my two favorite companies. So to discover what supplements are best for your dog when they won't eat, you can actually enroll in my Valley Fever treatment program. It's an online program, and you can check it out at www.rescueyourdogfromvalleyfever.com. And I go over all the ways and all the doses and all the details on how you can improve your dog's appetite, but also how you can reduce their discomfort and pain, how to stop their cough, how to boost their vitality, how to stimulate their immune system by adding holistic strategies. And this will help the fluconazole or the conventional medicines work. It will also reduce the side effects from your conventional medicines. And I do go over conventional medications in the program so that you're aware of them. And ultimately, we want your dog to recover from valley fever. So check out www.rescueyourdogfromvalleyfever. And thanks for listening. And